So I'm gonna try to keep this brief. Basically, what I'm seeing from Mr. Piozek's class for engagement are a couple different strategies that I really learned from. One of them is high impact and high energy learning, which I think is very similar to the way that I teach and the way that I want to teach. I think that it's really engaging, and that not only that, but for a class like the one I'm observing, um, it's really useful for getting a lot of information in to a short period of time. So right now it's grade 11 AP English, and there's only 50 minutes in a period. Where I come from in Canada, there's more like 75. So by teaching at such a high pace with high energy and a fast word flow and something that's really engaging for the kids, he also gets a lot of information across, and I think that that's really good. The other thing that I have seen is that he begins class immediately. As soon as the bell rings, as soon as the students are seated, they do something called DLPs, and basically it stands for um, daily daily language practice. That's what it is. And they basically have like 2 paragraphs or 2 sentences that they have to correct, whether it's grammatically or something of that nature. And I think mostly at this point it's for SAT prep, but it's very similar to me of what Mrs. Arbic did last year in the math class with what she called a bell ringer, basically a way for the students to start working on something simple, something that they need to practice every day. It gets them working, gets them focused, it sets the tone of the room, and it gives him a minute to do some last minute prep, organize his thoughts, and move into the real content of the actual lesson. So I think that's like extremely smart, especially if you're low on time. Um, I would say those are the two main things I've really learned so far. I've had I've had five or six observations with him so far, so I'm still learning. His transitions are really good. He usually only makes about 3, maybe 4 in a lesson. Usually there's the DLPs at the beginning, and then we go right into reading something like Paradise Lost or The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and then after that he does some SAT prep, and then maybe they'll do some sort of quiz or workbook or formative assessment worksheet of some kind in class. And it's really well chunked. It doesn't necessarily all build, but he moves from one thing to the other very quickly and doesn't waste any instructional time from what I can tell at all. I think he's a very good teacher, and if anything, sometimes he goes a little bit too fast and makes references that might be kind of over top of the students' heads, but definitely not wasting time, definitely not slack with any of this. So I'm definitely really impressed with his engagement. So just another thought concerning engagement. I think when students leave Mr. Piozak's class, they probably feel the heavy weight of the homework because there is a lot of reading, and some of the text is very heavy, like Paradise Lost. But I think that he does a really good job of inspiring confidence in them, that when they come to class again the next day, they're going to be able to learn, and he's going to do his very best to explain to them the things that they don't understand. So I don't know if they would necessarily be excited for the following day, but I know that they would be confident that he's going to do his best to make it exciting and to make really difficult material somewhat easier to understand. Also, when it comes to engagement, he really doesn't have like all these worksheets or differentiated instructions. It's very simply highly animated, very high energy lecture, and he does a great job of it. I look around the room a lot and I see usually 1, maybe 2 students checked out of about 25 at any given time, which I think is pretty good, because that means that all the others at least appear to be engaged. So I think he's doing a really good job, and as I said earlier, I think the only thing I might change is just slowing it down a little bit, because I have that problem myself, and I see a lot of myself in him, or him in myself, I guess. But overall, great teacher, great engagement, very impressed.